Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Clorinda and this is Blossom and Thrive. I'm here to give you some tips and tricks on how to have a smooth, natural birth, either at home or at the hospital. I do have a background as a labor and delivery nurse, so I can give you some good tips and tricks along with my own personal experience that I've had having a home birth with a midwife and a doula about 3 years ago with my son, which was a magical and beautiful experience. But I also have so much respect for people who have their babies in a hospital too. Even if you do choose to have it a natural way, there's still possibilities that you could do in a hospital or wherever you choose to have your baby. So tip number one, I would say, is to mentally prepare. Not only are you mentally preparing during your pregnancy, but you will be mentally preparing for your labor. That is the biggest struggle and the hardest challenge that mothers go through when they're in labor. It's the mental stage. Usually, mentally, you give up and want to get an epidural. Mentally, you tell yourself, I can't do it. This is too much pain. It's hard. It's unbearable. It's you can't take it. I totally get it. I had a moment of where I was at home with my baby laboring, and he was in a horrible position. He was an OP, so he was sunny side up. His back was against my back. I had severe back labor. My midwife told me that a lot of women cannot endure that. A lot of them have to have a C-section in the hospital because they can't endure the pain. But I was at home and I was close to saying, I want to go to the hospital. I told my husband, get me an epidural. By the time I asked for an epidural and I need to go home, or I need to go to the hospital, my doula said, you are crowning. You're complete. Your baby is crowning. He's stretching out your perineum. And I'm like, oh. But the funny thing is the fact that she told me that your baby is crowning, it triggered something in my mind. It clicked where I mentally said, I can do this. That's how powerful your brain is. If she had never said that, I would have thought I couldn't do it. But because she told me and gave me a visualization of where I was in my labor, it gave me the motivation, it gave me the courage to continue on mentally. So your mental state plays a huge part in your labor experience and your delivery. That is what's going to transform your experience. That's what's going to transform the way you view birth. That's going to transform the way you view yourself as a woman. So mental state is important. You have to really mentally prepare. And I did a lot of hypnobirthing classes. I did a lot of meditation. I did a lot of affirmations during my first pregnancy. And of course, when I was in the moment, it was hard to go back to that. So I am pregnant again with baby number 2. So I definitely want to be stronger mentally. You would be surprised how powerful your brain is. There's so many research studies with the placebo effect, with people given fake placebos and thinking that they were cured and it was not even a real medication. And then people who were not given anything believe they were cured and it was not, it was a placebo. So your brain can literally transform the way you create your experience with labor. So that's my first tip. A lot of my moms in labor and delivery, they give up so quickly because the pain is unbearable. Mentally, they can't take it. And of course, your pain receptors are communicating with your brain. Yeah, there's pain here, but the contractions, it's telling your brain, hey, this hurts. But your brain has to literally say, I know it does hurt, but I'm going to breathe through this contraction. I'm going to know that it's not going to last forever, that this is just a temporary thing. With each contraction, I'm going to take a deep breath out. Okay, that contraction lasted for 1 minute. I'm gonna have another contraction, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, so I'm gonna rest. I'm gonna hydrate in between each contraction. I'm gonna be swaying, I'm gonna be moving my body. I'm gonna be talking with my partner and laughing. And then it hits again. Okay, I'm mentally prepared. I'm gonna breathe through it. I'm gonna put my brain, put my mind in a different place. I'm gonna mentally remove myself from this pain to last and to endure it. Of course, if this is your first baby, it is going to be a challenge, okay? Because your labor could be longer. And of course, once you have more babies after that first baby, your labor is shorter, which is amazing. Thank God for that, giving us that grace. But my first baby, I did labor for 10 hours, but because he was faced the wrong way, it was harder for me to get him through the birth canal. I had to do a lot of inversions. But tip number one, mentally prepare. Tip number two, we just mentioned movement. Move your body, move your body, move your body. If you have been moving your body while you were pregnant, I'm not saying you had to go to the gym and you're deadlifting 200 pounds. I'm saying walking, doing prenatal yoga, swimming, all of those things during your pregnancy, that prepares you for your labor and your birth. You have to prepare your body physically, not only mentally. We talked about the mental state, but you have to prepare your body physically. You're going to be enduring a life-changing marathon experience. Labor is a marathon. It's literally like running. You're racing that, I don't know, 10-mile marathon during labor. That's what you do. And you have to prepare your body physically before you go running. Or before you start your labor experience. So I would really encourage you, even if you are, I haven't exercised. I'm 5 months pregnant. First 3 months, I was sick every single day. I was tired, thrown on the couch. My poor toddler was running around here while I was sick so bad. I'm just now able to get up and move. So I just started walking twice a week last week, and I started a little bit of stretching and prenatal yoga. So I would really advise you to stretch, do a lot of opening hip exercises, tons of hip circles, walking, swimming is great if you can go to your local YMCA or your local recreational facility, your gym, and just swim in the pool. That's definitely going to help towards the end of your pregnancy to get the baby in the right position to make sure his or her head is facing down into the birth canal and not breached. Breached is where the baby's head is up here, and you don't want that towards the end of your pregnancy, because that could require a C-section depending on your doctor if they would work with you to invert that baby and turn that baby around. But swimming is great for that. So movement, definitely move your body. I'm not going to lie, I have been slacking on moving my body, so I'm really motivated to get moving, because I know this pregnancy feels a lot different from the first one. I'm 35 years old and I can feel way more tired. I feel way more out of shape. Everything hurts, everything's tender, but little by little I'm doing stretches, here and there throughout the day. Even if you just do 10 minutes a day of movement, that's going to really help your labor. During your labor, you also want to be moving. You want to be moving. If you're not having your baby at home, you want to have the hospital provide you with they also have birthing balls, just like a ball that you sit on and bounce at home. Most hospitals have those. If you have an epidural and you have a peanut ball, you can move in the bed every 30 minutes, rotating that baby. Every 30 minutes, you should be moving. You should never be still or sleeping for during the day. I mean, sleep at night, of course, but a lot of mothers are sleeping in the bed with their epidurals, waiting on their baby to come, and you're not moving. You've got to move your baby. Like, if you don't move, your baby cannot descend down into the birth canal. It's just going to stay right there, a high station way up in the mid pelvis or above that. So you definitely want to be moving during your labor. So tons of walking during your labor, swaying your hips, hip circles, bouncing on the ball. If you have your husband or your partner there, you're there doing hip sways, you're laughing, you're talking, you're moving, you're dancing, you're doing whatever can get your body moving during your labor. You do not want to just be still. It's going to actually stall your labor and make it slower And the goal is to get baby down quickly in the right position and safely. So moving, I know it hurts, I know it's very uncomfortable, but moving your body is the best thing you can do. And a lot of doctors tell my patients that you have to move. You have to move your baby down. Gravity is your best friend during labor. So squats, if you're on the toilet and that feels good, that's a great position to help baby come down into that birth canal. Tip number three. Tip number three is hydration and nutrition. You want to stay very hydrated. Now, mind you, I've been eating In-N-Out burgers almost every single day, so my nutrition is not the best, but I have been balancing it out with smoothies. You crave what your body craves, but I increased my iron intake by taking liquid iron. A lot of it's natural for women to be anemic. Most mothers are anemic during labor because your blood volume increases 50%. So you're pumping tons of blood, not only to your own heart to circulate throughout your entire body, but to this little fetus growing inside of you. So of course your iron is going to be a little bit low, and you might have some other deficiencies where your body doesn't absorb iron well, which a lot of Americans have that problem with their digestive system not absorbing iron based off our diet. But I started drinking liquid iron, which I did with my first son, and I believe that also helped a lot with my labor. And of course my placenta looked nice and juicy and the cord was like thick, and they're like, oh my God, what were you eating? Tons of iron, tons of steak, protein, high protein. That's going to help with your recovery. High protein diet and high iron diet. Tons of magnesium. If you could do magnesium, that's going to help with any of your joint pain or muscle stiffness or those aches or cramps. You want to do tons of magnesium, potassium. So you could do coconut water, which is very hydrating for you and the baby. And if you can find certain magnesium supplements or powders at your local nutrition store, that's a great idea. Of course, consult with your doctor first before looking into the natural herbs, but hydration and nutrition is very important for your labor. So you want to be very hydrated, like I just mentioned. So coconut water, like I mentioned, is great. Electrolytes in your water. Don't just drink plain water, because all it's going to do is make you more thirsty, because there's no electrolytes in there. There's nothing to keep you hydrated. So you want to do coconut water. You want to do hydrated water with lime. You can make at home: lemon, lime, a pinch of salt, and honey. Drink that all day long if you can. 10 glasses a day, 3 liters a day. I do have some natural herbs that people probably already take. Raspberry leaf tea and all those things are great to help with labor and recovery. But staying hydrated is so key for you. It's important for your breast milk. It literally helps get the colostrum flowing when you're ready to feed that baby. It's going to keep you hydrated. It's going to keep your tissues nice and soft, and the high protein diet is going to help with, if you have any tearing, it's going to help with the healing faster. So those things are really important. There's tons of foods that you can research that actually help. I've heard okra, which I haven't tried, and I might try with this pregnancy. I heard okra is a great hydrator, also a great lubricator during birth as far as preventing tearing. I had a very tiny tear with my first baby, but I believe that was due to the way that I let him stretch out my perineum. I didn't push very hard. I kind of just let him ease out, which is something I would like to talk about in a different video. So, and tip number 4 I have, so tip number 1 was mental. Tip number 2 was move your body. Tip number 3 was nutrition and hydration. Tip number 4 is having a good support system. Like, this is probably really vital. If you have somebody in the room that you don't really care for, if your mom is nagging and she's constantly critiquing you or saying something, you can always ask the nurse if she could be excused, or you could speak with the nurse privately and have visiting hours enforced earlier. But you want to have a good support system. I had a doula for my first baby because my husband doesn't work in the medical field, and he's a wonderful man. Like, I know he would have spoken up for me, but I felt like because she could be a third party that would help kind of, intervene during something I felt uncomfortable with, or I wasn't too quite sure about. So if you have a doula, if you have your husband, if you have your partner or sister, you want to have a good environment. There's someone that can make you laugh, someone that's going to lighten the environment. And even if you're not in the mood for laughing, just having them physically there will actually kind of change your perspective. They're going to be motivating you. They're going to be encouraging you. They're going to say, you can do this, you can do this. They're going to be speaking softly and or however you'd like them to speak to you to help you push through. So having that support, having that village is so important during labor. And of course, little things to add on extra. If you want to have your own music, your lights, your candles, or if you're in a hospital, you can't have like fire candles with the battery operated candles. So certain scents, or you can watch a movie, you could do anything that can distract you, but of course that distraction is actually mentally, back to that tip number one, it's mentally detouring you around to realize, okay, I can go through this, I can pursue this, I can persevere, I am strong, my body is made to do this. Having those affirmations and really meditating is going to help you get through your labor experience. So those are my 4 tips. Hopefully they're kind of helpful. They're very short and kind of to the point. I don't want to go too deep, but I'm actually working on a project to go more in depth for mothers, to have a little guide on how to have a nice, natural, smooth birth. But anyways, I hope those tips were helpful for you, and good luck with your natural labor and birth experience. Bye.